Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2019 French Grand Prix. Now coming up, I will be bombarding you with stats, strategy and predictions ahead of this weekend. And as always, you can find timestamps to each segment in the description and as a pinned comment. But let's kick things off by having a quick look back at some of the information and the talking points from last year's Grand Prix. Right from the start, it all kicked off when Sebastian Vettel locked up and hit Valtteri Bottas, giving the Mercedes a puncture, and Seb got front wing damage. The German received a 5-second time penalty for the incident, and I think it's fair to say that the two of them making their way back through the field certainly kept us entertained throughout the race. Pierre Gasly dropped the rear of his Toro Rosso and slid into Esteban Ocon, eliminating both of them on lap 1 at their home Grand Prix as well. Fernando Alonso had a pretty miserable day, spinning and making contact with Vettel whilst the two were wheel to wheel, and later over team radio the Spaniard said that with no brakes, no tyres and sitting outside the points, he didn't care too much about the rest of the race. Classic Fernando. Lewis Hamilton took pole position with a time of a 1:30.029 and was pushed hard by Max Verstappen on the Sunday, but the Dutchman could do nothing to stop Hamilton taking the win, with Kimi Raikkonen rounding off the podium places. Valtteri Bottas set the fastest lap on lap 41 with a 1:34.225, and there was a grand total of 15 finishers in the Grand Prix with just 10 on the lead lap. What about the circuit then? Well, the track length is 5.842 kilometres, or if you would prefer that in miles, that is 3.630. There are 15 corners around Paul Ricard, that is 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and on Sunday there will be 53 race laps. At time of recording, there are just the 2 DRS zones this weekend. One of those is down the long straight between turns 7 and 8, and of course the other one is down the start-finish straight. And the race lap record is held by Valtteri Bottas, and of course that was the 1:34.225 from last year. The run from pole to the turn 1 braking zone is 385.7 metres, with a total pit lane loss time at 60 km an hour of 19.6 seconds. The highest lateral G is 4.3 and that's at turn 11, and drivers are at full throttle for 71% of the lap. Now when it comes to overtaking, I'll be honest, I don't know the track all that well and we've only really got last season to go off. Now Mercedes say that turn 1 is the first good opportunity of the lap, although it does seem like a quicker first corner compared to other circuits, so it might not be all that easy, although we did see a couple of moves down there last year. But with DRS down the start-finish straight, it will absolutely be possible. Turn 8 is another spot that they've singled out, and again with the DRS on the run to it, I fully expect to see most overtaking happen through that chicane. But as Bottas and Vettel both showed last year, overtaking through turns 10 and 11 is absolutely possible, with both drivers pulling off a couple of seriously good moves. So the circuit Paul Ricard made its first appearance on the F1 calendar all the way back in 1971 and has hosted the French Grand Prix on a total of 15 occasions. Of course, the circuit had a long break from Formula 1 when the race moved to Magny-Cours for 1991, but it did return in 2018. Over the years, there has been a total of 11 different winners at Paul Ricard, with the first being Jackie Stewart and the most recent, of course, being Lewis Hamilton. The pole sitter has gone on to win the race on 9 occasions, with the average win margin being 17.3 seconds. The safety car, though, has only ever made one appearance at Paul Ricard, but that's due to the fact that the safety car wasn't officially introduced into F1 until 1993, although there are reports of it being used prior to that, most notably the 1973 Canadian Grand Prix. Once again, thank you to Lights Out Blog for providing some of the stats for this preview. If you are interested in some more French Grand Prix stats, make sure you do check out their website and give them a follow over on Twitter. The tyre compounds available for this weekend are right down the middle, so that's the hard C2, the medium C3 and the soft C4, with Pirelli rating the tyre stress around the circuit at 4 out of 5, with grip and abrasion being 3. Now, due to the smooth surface, tyre degradation is expected to be low, and there has also been a fair bit of resurfacing work going on since last year's race. Despite that though, Pirelli have said that they have gone more conservative with the tyres for this year's Grand Prix, and so therefore expect drivers to push hard from start to finish. All of that, of course, means that we are set for a one-stopper, which, by the way, was the winning strategy from last year. As for the weather, it is expected to stay dry all weekend, with temperatures currently forecast to hit a high of 30 degrees Celsius on Sunday. So it is going to be a warm one. Maybe, just maybe, that will result in higher tyre degradation and mix things up just a little bit. Despite the fact we only have last year's race to go off, I will also have a look at some of the driver form in France. Lewis Hamilton was pretty comfortable last year, taking pole and the win, as you saw earlier, and he did race around Magny-Cours, finishing 3rd in 2007, but only managed 10th back in 2008. His teammate Valtteri Bottas qualified on the front row in 2018 and eventually recovered to 7th after that collision with Sebastian Vettel at the start. Vettel himself had started just behind the two silver arrows and made his way back to finish in 5th, Now, the German did race once at Magny-Cours for the final French Grand Prix in 2008, finishing 12th for Toro Rosso. Charles Leclerc finished 10th last year, having started in 8th place. Max Verstappen came home 7 seconds behind Hamilton in 2018, pushing him all the way. And Pierre Gasly crashed out on the first lap after that collision with Esteban Ocon. Away from the top 3 teams, and Kimi Raikkonen made it to the podium last season, but that was his 5th podium overall at the French Grand Prix. And that, of course, includes his win from all the way back in 2007. Robert Kubica finished 4th at Magny-Cours in 2007 and 5th in 2008, but of course did not race at Paul Ricard when it returned last year. Kevin Magnussen had a good time in 2018, bringing his Haas home in 6th place, but it was a weekend to forget for Sergio Perez, who qualified down in 13th and ended up retiring from the race with an engine issue. On to my predictions then, and once again, I'm not really all that sure. I feel like Vettel will come out fighting this weekend and will be determined to bounce back after that disappointment and the controversy in Canada. It was a Mercedes front row lockout last year though, and it is expected that they will have the better package this weekend, and of course they've dominated this season so far. So it really is quite hard to look beyond them for pole and the win if I'm going to try and do this seriously, but saying that every week is just going to get really boring. So with that long straight and the opportunity for him to unleash the car's straight line speed advantage, or apparent advantage, I am going to go with Vettel for pole position. The win will be tough, but again, he will have a point to prove and I reckon could fend off the silver arrows, but I expect both Hamilton and Bottas to join him on the podium. I will be a bit boring now and say that Gasly will set the fastest lap once again for all the reasons I used to explain why in the Canada preview 2 weeks ago. As for my one to watch, I'm actually going to go with Romain Grosjean. It is his home Grand Prix and he will be absolutely looking to deliver in front of the French crowd. He did only just miss out on points last year, finishing in 11th place, but I've actually chosen Rogro because he has had some rotten bad luck so far this season, and his points tally is not representative of how he has been performing, and that luck has got to turn around at some point. I just feel like a good result in front of his home crowd could well be the catalyst to really kickstart his season. Absolutely, he will need the Haas to work with the tyres, something both drivers have struggled with so far in 2019. And yes, I may be about to jinx him big time with this line, but I've honestly got a really good gut feeling about Romain Grosjean this weekend. Apologies in advance, Grosjean fans. That is it then for the French Grand Prix preview, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts ahead of the weekend's race in the comment section down below. Now, there are no watch-alongs again this weekend, but I will be back tomorrow with the Burn E-Prix preview, and F1 content continues on Saturday with the qualifying report. And of course, we will be live shortly after the race on Sunday for the usual reaction stream. In the meantime, though, you can follow me over on social media. The links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.